This video will show you how to use carving functionality using mops. So this is armadillo dataset, and let me remove this transfer function editor here from. So this is the armadillo dataset, and let me just move to low res version. So press L and it will move to the low res option here. Now when it is in full res, then it is taking 10 2D textures to fill up the entire, to accommodate the entire data set. And this is the low res version of that, where 244 by 247 by 331 can be accommodated in a single texture. Now I am just moving to this low res option so that our carving is faster. So L is to switch between single texture mode here, and then this is the full 10 texture. So this is 732 by 742 by 994, and that is accommodated in 10 8K by 8K textures. And I'm switching to a lower resolution version so that the carving is faster. Okay, now press space bar and give mop carve. So mop and carve will allow you to carve the data. So this is carve. Now by default it is radius is 10, and there is a decay of 2 voxels. So using up arrow and down arrow, I can change the radius here, up arrow and down arrow, and then left arrow and right arrow for changing the decay. Now when you sculpt, when you carve, you are essentially setting the mask buffer values to 0, and this decay is basically linear decay between the original value and the and 0, and the decay will start at, in this case, say the decay will go for 8 voxels, so it will start at 4 voxels from the center. Now this will start at 8 voxels from the center, and the decay will be 8. Now this is decay is 10 voxels, and then the so first 6 voxels closer to the center will be 0, and then it will linearly decay to or it will linearly ramp up to the original mask buffer value. Okay, so what I'll do is now I'll set both values to 20. So the central voxel now in this case will be 0, and then it will linearly ramp up to the original opacity. Okay, so shift and then left drag, and you will be able to carve the region. So I'm carving here. Shift and then left click to carve. And shift and left click to carve the region. Now if you make any mistakes, then you can use middle mouse button and set the values to 1. Or there is also another option where you can recover the values that you had erased, the mask buffer values that you had erased. So I'm carving here. So this is exposing the the interior, it is making the top hard shell, it's changing the opacity of that top hard shell so that the interior is exposed. So you can see these, if you look at here closely, the opacity of this has changed. Let me just remove this part, decreasing the opacity. So this is more nicely clearly exposed. Now here I have just gone a bit too far in carving, so let me put these values back. I am using shift and then middle mouse button to put these values back. So shift and middle mouse button, I can put these values back here, and then shift and left click to expose the regions. You can change the radius. Now let me show you what happens when your decay is 0. I'll go to the other side, and then as you can see, it's like punching big holes into your data, and that's why I have got the decay set to large value. Let me just put these back here. You can go here and put these regions back, and then when I start carving again with the new values, it's much more controllable. Now, especially for the biological data sets, I think this will be very useful to expose the interior. Shift and then left mouse button drag to sculpt, and then shift and middle mouse button to put the values back. So essentially set the mask buffer values to 1. Now I'm using middle mouse button to set these values here, which I had erased. As you can see, I had used middle mouse button carve with 0 decay, and you get the sharp boundaries here, whereas these boundaries here, they are much more diffused with large decay value. Okay. And now once this is done, we'll just remove this as well. So let me just change the carving. So I'll just remove that. We can also actually use paths for carving. Now we are still in the low res, so we are still using single. Now let's shift to the full res. So press L again. I'm pressing L, and this is the full res, as you can see here. Full res. Now if I press shift left click, then it will basically just carve, because your point setting is off. So using shift left click is usually to set the points, but when I use shift left click, when I want to put the points, I'm not able to do that because we are in carve mode. So let's get out of the carve mode So press spacebar again and give mop carve off. So the carving is off, and now I'll be able to put these points in. Suppose I were to do some measurements, say, of this part, so I can put the points in, give the path command, and I've got the distance. So here we have in terms of voxels. So this is how you can make use of, say, carving facility and go inside and do the measurements, or just expose the portions of your data. Now this is slow because I have turned on the shadowing